Soju Bomb. Soju Bomb. Oh. Soju Bomb.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello.
Friends, family, loved ones from across the sea, we are...
Random people who may or may not watch this.
Yes.
More likely than not.
Yes, we are, of course, Jamin, near and dear to my heart, Bassette, joined by James.
The Yellow Dart.
Bassette. And we're here for a little Soju Bomb.
Soju Bomb.
Yes, of course, this is the segment where we talk about Korean culture, and more specifically Korean media. And here we're going to talk about one of the most infamous pieces of Korean media. This film was lauded by Quentin Tarantino as one of the 20 most important films of the past 20 years. It's also ranks pretty high on the
"Will give you nightmares if you watch it" list. Right?
Yes, most certainly. that too. It's a very well-renowned, well-regarded. It won Cannes in 2003 when it went. Of course, we were talking about Park Chan-wook's Oldboy, which, if you think is about good old boys, you'd be dead wrong.
Or if you think it's like The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, where no, not even sort of.
Not even sort of. Of course.
That movie had a happy ending.
Yeah, comparatively. Oldboy is based upon the Japanese manga of the same name. Entirely different premise, entirely different ending. The only thing that's the same is the idea of a guy gets kidnapped for a long period of time. In the manga, it's, I believe, 10 or 15 years, and in the
movie, it is 15.
The movie is 15 years, and so. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how the movie starts?
Well, it takes you to the main character, and he's
Odesu.
He's drunk and in a police station. He's doing a bunch of goofy different things. You laugh at it. You know, he really needs to pee. Really needs to pee. He has to pee right there. The cops come, like, punch him a couple times. Like, stop! Don't you dare! You're standing right here. And he says, "Okay, I promise I'll be good, but I gotta pee first." So yeah, stuff like that, you know. And then he's like staring at the other people who are in there, and he's just passed out. Wakes up again, and they eventually have to handcuff him to one of the seats there. Yeah. His best friend shows up and, you know, bails him out, and so they go. And today was the main character, not the best friend, but the main character. His daughter's birthday. She turned 3, and he got her, you know, like these little angel wings and such. It was really adorable, but don't know why he was out drinking. He got drunk on his daughter's birthday. But
Korean guys.
Korean, I know. So he's sitting out in the rain while his friend's on the phone talking. He goes, "Oh, okay, you want to talk to?" He's apologizing, saying, "Oh yeah, we'll be home soon. Don't worry." And he goes, "Oh, you want to talk to your dad? Sure, no problem." He turns around, and the dad's gone.
Yes. And standing there in the middle of the rain is a purple umbrella. Purple starts to become a very symbolic color in this movie. So what has happened to Odesu?
He was kidnapped.
Yes, he was. And where did they kidnap him to?
Just some random room. You don't know. He's in some random room. He's got a TV. No view, of course, because he's boxed in. He's like a mirror, a bed, and a dresser, and I believe they gave him a bathroom. And a whole bunch of notebooks to write his sins in. Yep. He ends up filling up, what, like, almost like 10 of them?
At least. So he was only there for like a week, right?
No. After the first month is when you first see him in there with the little, like, doggy door, I want to call it, compartment on the bottom of the door where they shove him food.
And same food every day.
Same food every day. These dumplings that you later find out comes from a certain Chinese restaurant.
Mandu. I love mandu, but not enough to eat it every day.
Yeah, for 15 years. Yeah, dude. 15 years. So long he's in there. He's narrating through it, and he made a comment that if he had known then that he would be there for 15 years, would he have endured it?
Yeah, would have made it any easier.
Would have made a difference.
Yep. So he eventually escapes, right?
Well, he's getting close. He finds a loose brick. He slowly, after I think year 14, it was.
Yeah, one of my favorite lines of the movie. He has 3 chopsticks. He's like, the only thing I can think of is the guy in the room next to me only has 1.
So he used that extra chopstick and the 2 after he's done eating, of course, to slowly just attack the brick wall. He gets out and he it's like this little, teeny tiny thing like in between the two walls, and he goes to the very end, rips open a brick, puts his hand out, and he can feel the rain. So he knows he's almost escaped.
Getting close.
Escaped. And well, a certain song plays, and every time that song plays, he knows that a gas will be leaked into his room, which makes him fall asleep.
Yes.
When he wakes up, the room will be cleaned, his hair will be cut, stuff like that. Well, when you see it happen, they take a cup from him. The first time you see it happen, that is, they take a cup, they clean everything up, and you notice they're wearing gloves. You're wondering, okay, what's going on? Well, on the news, you see that his wife was murdered, and he's the #1 suspect because of his prints found at a cup at the crime scene.
The cup that they got from there.
That's why they did that. The second time you see him fall asleep because of the gas, a hypnotist comes in, hypnotizes him, and says, you are now in a green field. And he kicks open a trunk.
Well, it looks like a dream sequence.
It does. It looks very much like a dream, like he's in a field. Kicks open the trunk, looks up. He's actually like in a, not really a garden, but I guess it used to be a garden on a rooftop.
Yeah. People who lived in Seoul live in large cities.
Yeah.
On top of the building.
So he gets out of the box, and you realize, oh, it's not a dream sequence. He's out. So he didn't escape. They let him go after 15 years.
Yes.
And he sees a guy wanting to jump.
But he won't let him jump just yet.
Just yet. He pulls him in and says, first, you need to hear my story. So he tells him what happens. The guy's sitting there with his dog, going, wow, 15 years, that's crazy. Now let me tell you why I want to kill myself.
And he just gets up and walks away.
He gets up and walks away. But there was an important line when he grabs him before he jumps off the edge. He says, even though I'm no better than a beast, don't I have a right to live? And so
that kind of becomes a theme of the movie, along with a painting in his room which says, laugh and the world laughs with you, weep and you weep alone, which becomes another very haunting message throughout the movie, along with one more little tidbit of theme that whether it be a boulder or a pebble, they sink in the water just alike.
I got that meaning right away because I'm smart. I also called a lot of crap in that movie.
He did call a lot of crap. Now,
I wish I didn't.
So he eventually catch up with the guy, right? Pretty early in the movie, like maybe a half hour into the movie, he catches up with the guy, and so he gets his revenge, right?
No.
Oh, why not?
Because he's just about to kill the guy. The guy is a right-hand man. He's going to stop him, and he's like, no. He won't kill me, and here's why. Because you're dying to know why. Why did I imprison you for 15 years? You want to know. If you kill me, you'll never know. He gave him a certain date. That's like, I think, 6 days after they actually meet with each other. A little less than a week. That's the date. That's the deadline that if you can tell me why I imprisoned you, and why?
Yeah.
Just why?
Yeah. If you can't tell him why, then
and who he is. Why and who the guy imprisoned him is.
He's going to kill himself.
He'll kill himself.
And then he'll never know. So, real quickly, again, like we do with the games, we're going to go ahead and tell you to stop. We're going to go ahead and give our rating here, and then tell you to stop it. If you're interested in this movie, go ahead and go see it now. If not, you can, or if you've already seen it, you can stay for the spoilers. Jojo, if you're watching this, which I assume you are, you don't want to hear the second half.
Don't, dude. Seriously.
Believe me, you don't want to hear the second half.
You don't. Ask Jana. You don't.
Yeah, ask Jana. You don't. Okay, so real quickly, did you like it?
Like is such an interesting word.
Like is an interesting word.
As soon as it ended, Jamie looked at me and I was like, I hated it. Worst movie. I hate it. The very next day, I gathered my thoughts. Like, I don't necessarily hate it, but gosh, it's like a movie that walks up to you, shoves you into a puddle, kicks you in the face, beats you then with your dog, and waits until the dog dies and then pees on you. Right? That's what that movie does to you.
And then he eats the dog,
the dead dog in front of you after he beats it to death with your face,
and he makes you take a bite. Okay, it's kind of bad analogy.
So I can't really. I don't know. I don't know if I like it or not. I think it'll be a while before I watch it again. But it's so bad it's good? Question mark.
Well, it's there's another movie that I probably won't make you watch this. It was actually directed by the same guy who did The Good, the Bad, and the Weird. Oh. And it's actually got Chae Min-sik, which is the guy who played Odessu, and it's got the guy from G.I. Joe.
Okay.
Which is the guy from Iris.
Yeah.
So great actors, great writer, great director. I have never disliked a movie more. And it's not because it's a bad movie whatsoever. Got very high reviews, got a lot of international praise. It's called I Saw the Devil. Akmoripuata. And I just can't watch it. There's no way I could watch it a second time. No way. It's brutal. It's heartbreaking. It makes you feel sick and gross after you watch it. It's a well done movie in that genre. It's just not a genre I can
stomach.
And so I think this might fall. Oldboy, might actually fall into that category for some people.
Definitely. This is not a bad movie, but a movie that I don't want to watch.
Maybe, yeah. So that's the A. The B, would you recommend it?
Oh my gosh. If you like movies that are just sick and twisted and do all those things we mentioned about the dog pushing puddle and all that crap, then yeah, if you like those kind of movies, this is a great movie for you. If you're the type of person who just wants to, like me, after watching something like this, just fall on the ground and cry, you're not even trying not to. You know you're going to cry, so you just bawl. Yeah, you don't want to watch this.
It's tough to stomach. If you can stomach, okay, we make it sound pretty bad. If you're a fan of some of like the more twisted, like French horror films or like or stuff like that, this actually isn't as bad as some of the more twisted stuff. This isn't no Human Centipede or something stupid like that. But the movie is a kick to the gut, is a kick to the pants, and it's not going to make you feel good. If you're into the kind of movies that make you go, oh my gosh, after you watch them, I'd recommend it. If you don't have the stomach for this kind of movies, or you like movies with happy endings, or that have like...
If you like movies with happy endings, just stick with Disney. They're the only happy ending you're ever going to get.
There's no good message in this movie. The whole movie is just sad and depressing. The central idea of the movie is that getting revenge in the end sometimes just isn't worth it. And you're better off just being ignorant, because getting the information...
Ignorant is bliss.
Getting the information, knowing, can sometimes be way worse than just being happily ignorant. But okay, so continue on. We're going to get to spoiled territory. We don't have a lot of time, so let's go.
Spoiled territory.
Okay, so he meets up with a young lady named Mito.
Yes.
And they hit it off pretty well, I'd say.
Oh yeah, surprisingly well. And like both of them do dumb things that you're like, all right, I would never ever talk to this person again. Yet they still stay together. Now when they stay together, they slowly fall for each other. Yep.
Well, so let's fast forward a bit. He eventually tracks down who this guy was to a school that he used to went to. He was actually a classmate of his, underclassman.
Yes. The reason why he didn't remember all too well is because he moved around the same time they got there.
This is your last chance, Josiah, or anyone else watching this that doesn't want to hear this ending. You don't want to hear this ending. I'm telling you right now, if you haven't seen this movie, don't watch this part.
Soju Bomb. Oh.
So why was Odesu imprisoned? He was imprisoned for talking too much. What does that mean?
Well, right before he left, the very last day of the school, he meets this girl. The girl leaves all of a sudden, right as he tries to, to put his moves on. That was weird, he thought. So he leaves, but then he sees someone running real quick. He's like, what the heck? So he follows the guy. See him go into a room where he then had relations with said girl.
So he doesn't think much of it. He didn't really know these people.
No, not at all. So he tells his best friend right before he leaves. It was weird. You know that new girl? Yeah, her and that weird kid with the camera. Yeah, I caught them doing it. Never thinks of it again. Just random two people. He's like, whatever. Their life. Move on.
So who were those two people?
They were brother and sister.
And Odesu inadvertently started a trend of rumors that ended in a bit of a tragedy. What was that?
The girl was a slut, and that she killed herself because of it.
And that brother grew up to be a very vengeful and rich young man who decided to imprison Odesu for 15 years. So Odesu goes to confront this guy. Odesu's kind of peed off at this point. He feels that it wasn't really his fault. Obviously, it was it was the brother. It was the brother that was messed up in the head, not Odesu. Odesu feels he's been wronged, and His kidnapper says, "You've been asking the wrong question all along." What question should he have been asking?
What was the question? I completely forgot. I was like, why was I imprisoned?
Yeah,
No.
you've been asking why was in prison.
Yeah, that was the why.
You should have been asking why did I let you go?
Go. That's right. Yeah.
So why did he let him go?
Well, finds out. You know that hypnotizing crap? Well, he wasn't the only one who's being hypnotized. So it was the chick he meets up with. The chick that he grows fond of. She goes on to him. Blah, blah, blah. Crap happens. A scene that should never be in the movie happens. Stuff like that happens. Well, they're both hypnotized to fall in love with each other. And you can't, obviously that's kind of difficult. So instead how they did it was certain things would key certain reactions for them.
Emotional triggers.
Yes. And slowly by slowly that made them fall in love. And so he gives them a box. A box with a photo.
What's in the box?
What's in the box? There's nothing ever good comes from something in a box, kids. Nothing ever.
If a mysterious guy hands you a box, don't open it.
Yeah. Don't. Just don't. Unless he's Santa Claus, then you can open it. I don't think you'd do something like this, would he? Not jolly old Saint Nick. Anyways, so
Have you ever met Korean Santa Claus?
God. Anyways, so it's a photo album. He looks through it, and this little girl, he recognizes her. That's his daughter.
Yeah.
Flips it, flips through it.
She's slowly getting older.
And
Elementary
so,
school, middle school, high school, college.
And then he recognized her. It's the waitress, the girl that he fell in love with. The dude released another 15 years, so his daughter would be 18, to make them fall in love with each other.
Whether a boulder or a stone, they both sink in water alike. No matter how sick and twisted Odesu may think the brother is, the brother just made Odesu into an even sicker and twisted bastard. And he didn't even realize it. Punch to the freaking gut. Now, that would be bad enough as is. It just gut punch, horrible, awful. But Odesu gets his chance for revenge. You see, this guy had a pacemaker. And installed that pacemaker, he had a switch that could turn that pacemaker off. That way he could kill himself at any time.
Which is the deal he made, if you figure out why. And all the questions, why, who I am, why. And I would kill myself. He'd press the button and kill himself.
And so he gives Odesu this switch. Odesu has his chance for revenge. And what does the switch do?
Turn on the recordings of him and his daughter.
I have never felt so sorry for a character in a movie. Like, not even Seasons of the Heart. Not even Seasons of the Heart made me go, oh my gosh, that guy. It made me want to kill him just to end it for him.
It made me want to kill myself, or somehow unwatch that, or unhear that, and I don't know, get the last 2 hours of my life back.
It is such a punch to the gut. James is sitting there just like devastated. And I'm like, oh man, I hadn't watched that movie since I watched it with Jana. I think it was the last time I watched that movie. So it'd been a couple years, 2 years. Oh man, it's a punch in the gut. It's the reason you watch the movie, but it's also the reason that
You hate it.
oh man,
It's a love-hate relationship.
love-hate relationship. Yes,
Love to hate
yes. Well, eventually the brother does get his just desserts, so to speak.
He shoots himself in the head after he reminisces and he realizes, and you kind of figure this out beforehand, but the sister didn't commit suicide in a way. She was getting ready to. He's holding on to her at the edge. She's saying all these things, but she ended up being pregnant.
No. She thought she was pregnant.
Sorry,
She wasn't.
She wasn't, but she thought she was. And, you know, the whole raising nephew and son kind of thing. And so he lets her go and lets her fall.
So he's, in a way, he's just as guilty as Odesu. In fact, I'd argue more so.
Yeah, well, and speaking of which, that was another gruesome part. When he was begging to stop. Oh, yeah, get this. The same box, it's probably the same photo album, maybe not the same, but the same, you know, is given to the girl. His daughter / love. Anyways, and she calls him and says, he gave me a box, should I open it? He's freaking out and saying, no matter what, don't you dare, never open that box, ever. And he's freaking out. He's begging the dude not to ever tell her. And so he gets a knife and cuts off his own tongue. Cuts off his own tongue because his tongue is what got him in this trouble in the first place.
It's pretty rough.
So yeah, he's in there with no tongue, and so the guys sort of kind of have mercy on him. Says, "It's all right. Don't make her open the box. Get rid of the box." But then that's when he drops the thing, and that's when the oh god.
Okay, so
never mind. He's not a compassionate person. He's still a whole.
Okay, well we're running low on time, so let's go ahead and go to the ending. Odesu tracks down the same hypnotist that hypnotized him in the first place, and with no tongue, he writes her a letter
about all that. That's because he's narrating through the entire movie. That's wise, because really it's just her reading all the crap that he just wrote about his life.
And so he begs her to get rid of these memories, get rid of these thoughts, and his plea is that even though he's no better than a beast, some boulder or stone, they both think alike, doesn't he have a right to live? And so she hypnotizes him, but this is where it gets a little interesting.
Like Inception, where it lets you pick the ending.
How I choose to interpret it is that he doesn't forget, because you look at that smile he has on his face, that you know, laughing and the world laughs with you, weeping you weep alone. It's that crazy smile. That's the monster Odesu. That's the crazy Odesu. I think
she splits him into two personalities, and right now he's looking at the reflection of himself. He said, "All right, now the monster's gonna turn around and walk away, and every step he takes, he'll age a year
Yep.
until he dies."
Yes.
So the main one turns around and starts walking away, and the reflection stays. So it makes you think, okay, the real one just walk away and die, and the monster is what stayed.
So what I think is she actually made him remember it forever. That's what I think. Well, this has been another Soju Bomb. All right, we're running out of battery life, running out of time. We will be back here with another one shortly. Love you guys, and talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Give us the go when it touches your lips.